Okay, so I have started recording the video.
Okay.
Okay, so basically agenda for today is that we will try to see the part of GL and we will complete the AP configuration and we will try out a few transactions in AP. I mean
Okay.
the invoice part and the payment part, how we will do it and what is the change between R12 and Fusion. So this is the plan for today. And to start with, actually, I'm going to start with the COA upload through Excel sheet. So that we were trying out on the other day, but due to some duplication issues, we are not able to do it. So let me try it now. I'll show how it works and all those things. So since I have already loaded the values for our chart of accounts, I'll just create a sample COA and I'll load it there. So I go to define chart of accounts and I'm defining few value sets and I'm defining the structure. So I have created an value set called ACC, that is for account flexible, that is nature. And I'm going to create the structure. Okay, so we have created the structure from attaching the structure with the instance. Okay, so we have created the structure, we have created the instance. So I'm deploying the created instance. So meanwhile, let me prepare the file to upload. So the field-wise explanation we saw in the last class, and so I'm not again taking time to explain it. I'm just adding the values what we created. So that is basically AKACC. So I'm just copying for all the fields. Okay, so I have changed this. So similarly, I'm going to change here as well. Okay, I have changed the value. Now I'm clicking generate CSV. So this will generate me 3 files.
Sir, while uploading the file should be in CSV file only, no sir, or TXT file or XLS, it will allow, or
No, no, it should be only in TXT file.
CS. Okay.
So basically, we don't want to create as a different file also. Like the system will take care of the activities. All we need to do is that click to generate CSV file.
Okay.
Okay, now the file has been saved and our deployment process is complete without any error or warning. So now let's navigate to schedule process and try to upload our chart of account values. So the program name to load the chart of accounts value is that load interface file for import. And this is the file where basically transfers the values from our file to the interface file. So from there again an interface program should run to pick and put into our base table. So the program for this is import segment values hierarchy. And then we will select the data file that we have created. We will upload it directly here. So to import the data file, there are two ways of uploading. So one is like we have the file import and export where we can now load the files, or if you want to directly upload, we can use it here. Since it is to work, I'm just using it here. Directly I'm uploading. I'm clicking here. So these are the files that was loaded from file export and import. So I'm clicking here, upload a new file. I'm uploading directly. So since this is Vision instance, maybe it is taking time to load it. So basically it should not take much time as the values which we are loading is not more than 1000. So let's wait for some time to complete this program. Okay. Okay, let me go and verify.
Sir, see now while uploading, you got an error, no?
Yeah,
Is there any this what it called a log file, error log file
yeah,
is
log
there,
file will be there. So
so
basically,
that we can able to find out, huh? Okay,
yeah, I will show you that. Yes.
okay.
Okay. So we have imported the values.
Okay.
So these are the values that we gave and we have received in our account flex field. So this is only for account code. I have imported it. And if you want to import for the other segments as well, below this AK account segment or above it, we can list down those values also so that it will be loaded as a whole. We don't need to do as a two activity. Okay, now let me go there and I'll show you how the log will looks like. So this is our log basically. So what has happened and all those things will be listed
Okay.
out here. So I'm just clicking this and this will get me a file. So I'm just clicking here. So this will tell me what has happened in the system behind the screen.
But it is understandable by the use. It is understandable. No, it is not. It will not be in a technical language and all.
No, no, it is not a technical thing. Basically, we
Okay.
can understand. I mean,
Okay.
any functional consultant with the
Will.
basic
Okay.
idea should be able to understand.
Okay.
So I'll show you the. I mean, we didn't have much error, so we are not
Okay.
able to track it. So
Okay.
basically, if you see here, the it will show the status that this is the request ID,
Okay.
and and it will tell us that this is the value set that we are trying to load, and process is resumed, and this is normal thing, and it is showing the status. I mean, error. Due to sub job, it has ended in error, but the values are loaded basically. Yeah, so detailed thing will be there. If there is some other error, I can show you. I think there is an schedule process is running. So maybe
Okay.
I'll show you in future if we will try to load a few invoices also. So
Okay.
you will see the log and all those things. Okay, so we have loaded our values. So the next thing what I plan to show to you is the budget part. So I'm just going back to the implementation project. So I'm clicking define budget configuration. Sorry, it is budget control. So I have clicked manage budgetary control and encumbrance accounting, and I'm searching for our ledger. So this is our ledger.
Could you brief about that encumbrance? What is meant by encumbrance?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I was just getting inside it. So
Okay.
basically, why do we need a budget? So budget is the one which will restrict a company, or it will ease the business to understand and restrict their expenses in terms of budget. So basically, what is the difference between budget and encumbrance? So budget is an planned activity, whereas encumbrance is an unplanned activity. So how do we define budget and how do we define encumbrance? So budget, you can say maybe you will know that I'll pay rent as an 10,000 every month. So this is a planned activity. Or maybe we will need an office equipment or something on a planned activity regularly. So that we call budget.
Okay.
So there are some cases where we will need to restrict our expenses in terms of procurement. So that is where we will have encumbrance, but we will not know that what we will be procuring and on what quantity and all those things.
Okay.
But still, we wanted to have a control on our planning. So that is the reason we have this encumbrance. So for
Okay.
example, we are procuring some material for our maybe inputs or the cost of what do you call product. So for that purpose, we will create a purchase order and then we will create a receipt against it. Then we will create the invoice. So for this purpose, we will use the encumbrance accounting. So the basic understanding is that budget is a planned activity and encumbrance is an unplanned activity.
Plan.
Yeah. So that is the major difference. So any questions?
Uh, but while doing this, we have to enable both, sir, budget and encumbrance, or it is optional.
No, it is optional. It is not mandatory to use both encumbrance and budgetary control. We can
Okay.
use either one also.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the difference between R12 and Fusion? So there is no much difference. So the only difference is if you take R12, you will not have this budgetary control at OU level. So whereas here you will have access or the setup or the control at OU level also. So if
Okay.
you see, the moment I enable this budgetary control for the ledger and all journal sources, I'll see two options, two or three. So basically, should I have this control at only at the ledger level or only at the project level or ledger or project level?
Okay.
So basically, this applies at the ledger as a whole. So this is our understanding. So if I enable this option, fail budgetary control for budget dates not in a valid budget date range. If there is no budget available, then the budget will fail automatically. So that is a small restriction that we have it in the system.
Okay.
And we have encumbrance accounting. So as I said, this is an option. If you want to enable, maybe we can enable.
Okay.
The moment we enable, we system will ask us to give the encumbrance reserve account. So for time being, I'm just taking this option. System will alert me. I'm just clicking yes.
Okay.
And then we have the exceptions. So exception is something that we don't want to consider. So as a default, we have this revaluation, opening balance, closing balance. So for these options, we don't need basically budgetary control. The budgetary control, we need the budgetary control where we have to restrict our expenses. So these three parts we will not consider as our expenses. So I'm leaving this option as it is. And if we wanted to use specific journal source to be included in the exception list, then we can add here anytime. If I click here, I'll see the options. If I want to add adjustments maybe, then system will not consider the adjustment journal source. So I'm just taking this option. And then here we have at business unit level. So as I
Okay.
told you, so here in Fusion, we have the budgetary control enabled at business unit level also. That is our operating unit. So we can enable both the budgetary control and the encumbrance accounting at business unit level. So here you have the date rule. So what is the date rule that system should consider while having this budgetary validation? So whether system should take system date or it should take current transaction budget date or it should take prior related transaction budget date. So always it is suggested to use current transaction budget date. Then we have the business functions. So where do we want this budget to be used? Whether we wanted to use it in all the modules like all the functions like procurement, expense management, receiving, and payable invoicing. If we don't want to use for maybe the procurement and expense management, we can give no. I'm just disabling these options and I'm enabling only for payables invoicing. So again, in the payable invoicing, if I wanted to use only for a specific transaction, that again I can give it. So I come here, I mean the transaction type details, so where I will see the list of transaction and I can enable only for the few transaction if I want it. So I don't want to restrict, so I'm just giving to all. Okay. So again, if we wanted to add a few exceptions for a particular transaction source, that we can include it here. So this includes our external transaction that we import from the third-party application as well, so that we can define it here. Okay. So now I have enabled budget for our ledger. So this is the first step in budget. So I have enabled this option. I'm clicking save. I click save and close. Now we have enabled budget for our ledger. So the next step is to create calendar. I click add. I give SW budget. Okay, I give July. Sorry. So this is the main parameter to create a budget calendar. So basically, we have to enable this option budgetary control only. So the moment we select it, system will automatically choose others. I'm clicking next. I'll just give maybe 2. If it is for a year, it should be 4. If at all we are having this quarterly based budget. So I click here. I give till September 30. So this is year 2020. So this I'm starting with September 1st. And I'm ending with December maybe. 31st of December. So I save this. So similar to our accounting calendar, we can open next year budget as well. So I'm just clicking save and I'm closing it. Okay. So the third step is manage control budgets. So this is where I'm defining budgets. So I click add. So I give HW budgets. So I'm selecting our budget calendar. So we have created two calendars basically. So I'm just selecting 2 periods. So here you will see multiple options. So we have the control budget, we have others. So others is nothing but our actual budget. So what we are having it in actual budgets. And the other option is no budgets. So no budget in the sense system will not consider this as a budget. and we have the Hyperion planning. So Hyperion planning is another offering that was given by Oracle, where Oracle has procured the Hyperion and they have taken this budgeting and all those things and they have come up with the planning and budgeting cloud. So that is the model that we will use. So if we are using this functionality, then we will have to configure the planning and budgeting module and we will link it with the budget. So if I give here, it will ask me the relevant details. So we have to include it there. So since I don't want to use this Hyperion, so I'm just clicking others. So that is the difference in Hyperion and I mean, the others are basically the control budgets that we have it in R12, but only Hyperion planning is an additional infusion. And currency I'm choosing is
Sir,
USD.
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, is.
That you are using other, no, force
Yeah,
budget type other and
yeah,
control budget. That difference, can you tell me, sir? That other means
yeah. If it is another, this is a
uh,
budget that I'm creating directly. If I wanted to use
okay,
control budget, then I will
okay,
need this to be created first, and again I will need this. So if you see here, the moment I select this control budget, system will ask me to enter the source budget name.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
So that is the
okay,
difference.
okay,
So others is nothing but we are just creating a budget and we are having it. But in case if
okay.
it is an control budget, it will have an source budget name where we
Source.
will define and
Okay,
we will attach it here.
okay. Now clear.
Yeah. So I'm choosing USD and by default I'm using corporate. And here we have again another additional thing apart from this. So basically, if you take an R12, basically you will have absolute, advisory, and none. So absolute is like complete restriction that system will fail the particular JV or the transaction. So system will do a complete validation. But in case of advisory, what system will do is like it will basically give an warning that it is crossing the limit, so you cannot use it. But in case of absolute, it will stop it. Infusion track is a new concept in the sense it is just a new functionality where it will record as an what do you call reporting purpose. So track is
Okay,
nothing but our reporting purpose where system will have record of all the crossed the budgetary transactions. And none is like we are not going to use this budgetary control. So I'm just clicking absolute. So if we wanted to use any tolerance, like above this this percentage is we can tolerate till this percentage or this amount. So
that is
we can,
variance, sir. You are telling.
no, this is not variance. Basically, let's say the budget amount what we have allocated for this month is 10,000,
Okay,
and it has exceeded 10,200 or 300 or
okay,
something.
okay,
So
okay,
that
okay.
amount percentage we can mention it here.
Oh, tolerance. Okay,
Yeah. So I'm not giving any tolerance.
okay,
So I'm selecting R ledger and I'm enabling budget manager. So to have our user into budget manager, we need to add a role called budget manager. So the moment we add it there, we will get here. Okay. So this is like budget adjustment. If we wanted to use increase or decrease budget adjustment, then maybe we can use this. If we have disabled this option, then we will not be able to increase or decrease our budgets. So for a safer side, I'm giving allow budget increase adjustment or decrease adjustments.
Okay.
And then we have our budget segment. So what are the segments that we wanted to consider our budgetary controls? So I'm giving only for our account codes. So here we have this tree details and this thing. So tree details, if you remember in our first session, I was explaining about the chart of accounts and how it will works and what is that tree concept in Fusion application. So basically, we have parent values and we have child values, and we are attaching this parent value to a different parent value. That is, let's say we can define it till 10th level of the parent, and this 10th level will be classified into a tree. So this different level we call as an tree and root concept in Fusion. So basically, the 10th level will have ninth level as a root, and for the ninth level, eighth level will be a root. So this is what we call tree and root concept in Fusion. So similarly, if we have it, maybe we can apply it here. So I don't want to apply budgetary controls based on the tree since I don't have any parent or child relationship. So if at all we have it, then we can mention it here and we can add the values and we can mention from which period to which period we wanted to use this budgetary control. Then we have the supplementary rules. So what is basically a supplementary rule? So when we define this particular account code, so basically we are defining for the entire set of our account code. So in case we wanted to use for a specific account code, then we can go for the supplementary rule. So the supplementary rule is something that it overrides the header level information that we have given it here. So if you note down here, we will not give any set of account code ranges here. So simply we mention that for the segments we wanted to restrict. So let's say we are creating the supplementary rules. So if you see here, we can define for a specific values. So let me give, I'm giving the business unit. So as I told, this will override the header level information that we have given it in the budgetary control. So if you see here, again, we will be able to select whether it is absolute, advisory or track or none. So again, I'm selecting absolute to have a better control. The moment I select here, the system will ask me whether I should apply for the all values or for a specific value. So if I say for a specific value, I'll see value details. So here I can enable a set of values. If I want to add here, maybe I can add. Okay, let me add, I'll try to add any of the value. This page hangs. Yeah, this page hangs sometimes. So basically that is what. So if we wanted to add specific values, then maybe we can add it here and we can have the validation setup for this particular account code. Instead of having as a whole, we can have it. So I'm just trying to close this page and I'll explain the other details. So this is where we will try to control on the segment values level. So after we define our control budget segment level filtration, then we have the additional segment that if at all we wanted to filter based on the tree and root concept. If you want to do it, we can do it. And again, after that, we have business-wise, business function-wise restriction. And if we want to use journal source-wise restriction, we can use it. Or if we want to use maybe
Got hanged, sir.
yeah, so sometimes
Okay.
the specific field is getting hanged.
To my knowledge, is it's getting locked, sir. It's in the form of a lock or something.
No, this is not locked basically. So when the
Okay.
load is more, system will hang sometime.
Okay. This instance will be using this because of this. Many people will be using, no, sir. At the same time, that's why
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, no. Okay.
yeah. Sometimes it will cause issues. Okay, I'm just navigating to the manage control budgets that we created. I think you didn't say the budget, so let's try to create it again. Okay, so I click supplemental rule, and I'm just giving a rule for this, selecting the business unit that we wanted to use. And I'm selecting absolute here as well, and I'm not giving any tolerance. So for the time being, I'm using this for all the account codes that I have in the system. So I have selected all values. So as I said, if you wanted to use for a specific account codes, we can use it. Since the page is hanging, I'm just leaving it for now. Maybe you can try it out as well. But it will work for a specific accounts as well. And then if you wanted to use for additional segments, maybe we can use it. But we have only the company segment and this thing, so I'm not using this because the company level restriction we will not use it basically. So I'm removing this option. And then if you come down, you will have the business functions as well. So if you wanted to use for all the functions or if you want to use for a specific one, and again we will have the journal sources. Similarly, we will have the journal category and natural account type. If you want to use only for the expenses, we can use it. Or if you wanted to use only for the asset kind of transaction, we can use it. So I'm not restricting at this point of time. So I'm just giving it. And if you wanted to use expense type, so this where we will have the expense type transaction is that when we are trying to do the entire P2P cycle. That is, when we are creating a requisition, based on the requisition, we will create a purchase order. So with the created purchase order, we will receive the items. So after we receive the item, we will make the invoice. So this is the flow. So when we are creating a purchase order, so basically we have two kind of transactions. So one is expense based and the other is inventory based. So inventory based is something that we will have an inventory items to be linked with our master organization. So that is the difference. So since we are not using at that level, I'm just leaving as it is all, and I'm just clicking OK to save this. Okay, so I'm saving this page as well. Okay, so the transaction, I mean the budget control is ready. So we can see the status here, not ready for use. So what we have to define is what we have to do is that we click here and we prepare for use. So we have it different statuses here. So what it means, I mean the each statuses. So let's say we have created a control budget for the first time. So what we will do is like we will prepare for use. So unless we give this prepare for use, we will not be able to use this budget control for our journal transaction or our invoice transaction. So we have to do this prepare for use. So this will trigger a concurrent program to activate this budget control. So the moment we activate this budget control, the system will change the status to active. That we will check it how it will work. And the next thing we have is that close. So when we don't want to use this budget, we can close this particular budget control. So what is the difference between close and permanently close? So on the few occasions that we can close the budget and we can reopen the budget. But if we have permanently closed this budget, we will not be able to reopen this budget. And then we have redefined. Just a moment, just give me a moment. Okay, so we have redefined. So why do we need redefine? So redefine is nothing but we are defining again the budgetary control or the supplementary rule. So why do we want to redefine? So there is a restriction in supplementary rule. So the moment we have enabled a few accounts in supplementary rule, let's say we have account code range from 1 to 100 and we have enabled only from 1 to 10, and we wanted to have control on the remaining 20 as well. So on those cases, we will not be able to do these changes to the budget. So what we have to do is like we have to redefine it. So that is the purpose of this redefinition. So once we redefine it, then again we will have to prepare for use. So that is the purpose.
Redefine means it's a type of modification, sir, or changes.
Yeah, that is kind of an update to this
Data. Okay,
budget.
okay, okay,
So since we have given only for 10 accounts, so if we
okay,
want to extend to the 30 accounts, so we
okay.
will have to change it. So what we will have to do is like we have to get this down, I mean the 10 account codes, and again we will have to create a new supplementary rule with 1 to 30.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we have created the control budget and now I'm clicking prepare for use. Okay, so this has created. So let's try to find the status of the concurrent program. So I was saying in a few sessions that we will have the cubes whenever we have this role of general ledger or the accounts related transactions. So if you see here in budget also, when we create a new budget, system will create a cube for this particular budget. So whenever we make a transaction against this particular account or anything related to this budget control, system will create a cubical value for the each transaction. So that is the purpose of space database. Okay. So system has created cubes. So it should be ready in a moment. Yeah, this is ready. So the budget
Can you can you spell that, sir? The database name. Can you spell? Yes.
ESSBASE.
Data.
Yeah, space
ESS
BASE.
DASE.
B for ball.
BASE.
Yeah,
ESS BASE. Okay. Okay.
BASE. Yes, correct. Yeah. So our concurrent program is complete. So now let's try to check our budgetary control status. Okay. Here I can see that this is in use, which
Okay.
means the budgetary control is in active status. So I'm clicking done. And the next step is to assign the role to user. I think I have already assigned. Let me check. If not, let me assign it. Okay, so this hasn't assigned. So maybe I'll try to assign a new role for this. So I give the budget book. I'm selecting the budget book that we have created. So similarly, I'm giving for the other roles as well. I'm giving for budget analyst, and I'll give for budget preparer as well. Okay, I have given it. I'm just clicking save and close. So now we have assigned the roles. So always it is suggested to close and log out and log in when we are assigning a role to the particular user. So that is when it will get effective. So because earlier we had this elder program, so that will update the respective functionalities to the user that we have defined. But in the later release, we are not using those functionalities as the concurrent programs. So I'm just logging out and logging in to take it effect. So we should be able to see budgetary control here in the list. Okay, so we have the budgetary control. So I'm just clicking budgetary control. So extend this, and I'm just querying our budget. Let's see if this is active. Yeah, this is active. It is in use. I'm closing this page, and let's try to add a few values for budget through spreadsheet. So in Fusion application, we will not be able to load the budget values in the application. That is, we cannot enter the values manually. It should be bought through the spreadsheet. So that is one thing that new in Fusion. So I'm just clicking enter budgets in spreadsheet. I select the budget. The rest of the fields are created automatically, populated. I click create spreadsheet. So I click the downloaded spreadsheet. I click enable editing to log in and load the values. Okay. So let me query some sample account code, and let me check the rent expense. So okay, it is 7680. I'm giving 10,000, maybe 1 lakh. The process is submitted. So let me query the account code that we have entered for the budgetary control that we have created. So I go back to budgetary control to verify the balances. So I click review budget entries. So I'm selecting the budget that we have created. So we have the summary, that is we have entered for the 2 periods, that is for 2 lakh. So I'm just clicking budget entry name to understand the detailed one, like the period wise. So since we have only 2 periods, we have the budget period 1 and 2, and this is for the quarterly basis, and the entered amount is 1 lakh that we have entered for each period 1 lakh. So it has reflected. I'm closing this page. And now I click the review budget control balances to see if how the transaction and the budget is getting affected. We don't have any transaction since we just loaded the balances. Still, I'm just reviewing it. Yeah. So here we can see that this is commitment obligations, and we have other consumptions, and we have the expenditure. Total consumption is 0, and here we can see the fund available. So if we have made any expenditure, then we will have effect in funds available. So the funds available is 100%. So let's try to make some manual JV and try to see how it reflects here. So I go general accounting. I think I'll have to open the period. So here now you see that status has changed. So now the GL period is open. So now let's try to make some transactions in general ledger and try to see the budgetary control, whether it is taking effect. So I'm clicking create journal. I'm just creating a manual journal entry. Just giving category as an adjustment. So I give the rent account. I'm giving cash account. So now I go here, batch actions. Before that, I have to save this transaction. I'm saving this JV. Now I go here, I click check funds. So the system has said that it has failed. So if I click this fail button, system should say why it has failed. Okay, the period is not open. Okay, let me open the budget period. Okay, so the period what we are working on is that July. So I'm just opening the first quarter. I'm clicking open. I click save. So this is save. I'm clicking save and close. Now I go back to the JV that we have created. I will try to validate it again. I go here and I check funds. So then it has failed. So it has said that this is an insufficient fund. So it will not allow me to post this transaction since we have chose for absolute. So if we have chose for advisory, system will allow me to post it. Still, it will have the warning message. But
Okay.
since this is an absolute, system will block me to post this transaction.
Okay.
So similarly, this will apply for the APR AP transaction as well. That is the expense booking. So that is all about budgets. So
Okay.
maybe if you can, if you have any questions, we can take, or we can move to AP.
Okay. Okay. It's clear, sir.
Okay. So these are the tasks that I have planned to complete it today. So let's try it, and I'll start from creating the business unit.
Okay.
So I click here, define business unit. So few business unit I have defined it already. So I'll just show you how it should be done because the last session also we completed part of the setup, but I'll just go through from the scratch from the initial thing. So we have given a name for the business unit, and we have selected a location. Location and manager is not a mandatory field. This is an optional field. And then we have default set. So default set is nothing but reference data set. So this is new thing in Fusion. So why do we need reference data set? So reference data set is something that it will group a particular setup, and it will allow us to use this setup across multiple business units. So this is the purpose of reference data set. So for example, I can have a payment term created for BU1, BU2, BU3 with the help of reference data set, where I will attach only the reference data set to this particular unit. And again, I have two things. So one is common reference data set, and the other is specific or the custom or the user created reference data set. So common reference state is something that it is attached to most of the setup where you can use it. But when we come to the receivable part, so somewhere it will give an error that we cannot use this common reference set. So that is when we will need our own reference data set, and it will have a proper control on our setup. So we have created the reference data set, and we have attached to the BU. So the BU that we have created is HWBU1. And the second step is to assign business unit function. Okay. So what is business function here? So why do we need to assign this business function? So basically, this is the setup where it will make system understand that against this ledger, whatever transaction it is created in the particular subledger, it will be posted to the given ledger. I mean the attached ledger. So that is the understanding. So this we have it in R12 in form of profile option, where we will attach the profile option and we will inform the system that whatever transaction we are making, it is against this particular ledger. So similarly, we have this option of attaching the primary ledger and the legal entities. And while doing the transaction, as I said earlier, that always we will do transaction against a primary ledger, not against a secondary ledger or a reporting ledger, where whatever the transaction we make in primary ledger, it will be posted to the respective secondary ledger. And another thing we have it here is that we have different functions here. So this is the complete offerings that was given by Oracle. So if you see here, I have selected only the payable invoicing, payable payment, and expense management and customer payment. Customer payment is nothing but our receivable side. And then I have selected the procurement and this thing to create the procurement agent. So this is not mandatory for us. Since we will need this procurement agent to create the supplier, I have enabled the procurement business function.
Sir, just 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Suresh has given one message
Okay.
for you, I think.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
He has told some.
I'm not sure where I can see this. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see this. What is the message?
That is, Arun, can you please close this session and start a new session? Otherwise, video will be too long to download.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay, I'm just stopping the share.
Okay.